Hi, so today I'm going to be reviewing a pair of shin guards for you guys. They are from Nike, then they are the Mercurial Flylite with Superlock technology shin guards. They look like this, and I have the box right here, and I'm going to give you the review. They are a 3 out of 5 coverage, a 5 out of 5 lightweight, and a 4 out of 5 for security. So that's my review, and we'll see you in the next video. What's going on, guys? Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com bringing you my review of the brand new Nike Mercurial Flylite Superlock shin guards with ACC technology. Okay, there's no ACC, I lied about that part. Anyways, these are Nike's brand new top-of-the-line shin guards that they actually teased months ago back when they first launched the Mercurials, featuring their brand new Superlock technology, which, as you can see up close, is a bunch of spikes on the surface of the shin guard. That might seem unsafe, but I can assure you that it's not, for reasons that I'll explain in today's video. And I'll also explain why the spikes are there in the first place, because it's a very interesting and kind of weird design element. Not to mention, the rest of the shin guard is very unusual in that it doesn't really have a liner. It's kind of a flexible shell, which is kind of weird for a top-of-the-line shin guard. And it's got this like Spider-Man web-like design. What is that all about? How good are these, and are they worth the $70 retail price? Do they even provide protection? Because it almost doesn't look like they would. All of that and more will be covered in today's video. If you guys are interested in a pair of these shin guards for yourself, they're available now. I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes. You'll be able to pick these up below their normal $70 retail price. So let's start with the weirdest part of these shin guards, and that is the fact that they are covered in these small little spikes. The spikes are actually a little bit bigger, or more significant, I would say, along the edges, and then kind of taper down towards the middle, at least on the right shin guard, because this, as you can see, features a consistent pattern with the spikes kind of getting thicker towards the edges and then thinner towards the middle. But on the left shin guard, where they have a Nike swoosh branding that is basically there in the spikes themselves, the spikes are actually bigger in the Nike swoosh logo, and then bigger along the edges, and then thinner where the Nike swoosh isn't. So they actually changed up the design of the spikes just for the sake of branding on the shin guards themselves. But why are the spikes there in the first place? Well, to quote Nike, this is what they wrote in their press release. Shin guards are often regarded as a necessary evil. The protection is required, but any additional weight or shifting within the sock can create discomfort. I fully agree with that. To deliver the benefit of shin guards without the distractions, Nike created the game-changing new Mercurial Flylite Superlock shin guards. The new shin guards feature small spikes on top of the face of the guard that safely pierce the sock, locking it into place. So the socks will not be harmed. They wanted to make that clear. The entire surface area of the guard is covered with these safe, again stressing the safety of the spikes, because that's typically not associated with spikes. They're kind of viewed as a dangerous thing. Lightweight spikes for an aggressive look and precision placement. No strap or sleeve needed. Which is why they included sleeves in the box. And that's not a joke. They actually do include a set of sleeves in the box with the shin guards themselves, and honestly, they're just not very good sleeves. It's the same one Nike usually includes with their shin guards, in that it's this kind of thin, elasticated mesh material, but because it's so thin, it tends to overstretch quite quickly and even rip relatively quick as well. It's nice that they include them, but they're honestly not going to be that effective for very long. Getting back to the spikes, I actually think this is a genius idea by Nike. Now you're probably wondering, are they legitimately sharp? Is this like a hard plastic material? Not at all the case. They're kind of like a rubbery silicone, and you can see as I run my finger along it, they kind of bend with my finger, so there's no sharpness to this at all. You're not going to cut yourself. You can rub it on your skin. Oh, that actually burns a little bit. But they're not harmful in any way at all. The spikes are simply there to grip the inside of your sock, which they do effectively because of this soft silicone rubbery material. The only issue with this, while it works as a concept, is your socks physically have to stay in place in order for the shin guards to physically stay in place. If your socks never move, theoretically the shin guards never move. But if you're like me and your socks move around while you play, your shin guards are also going to move around. So realistically, while this does work, if you want them to be 100% set in place, Superlock technology or not, you're either going to need really good sleeves, tape, or a combination of the two to hold your shin guards in place. And even then, you're probably still gonna have to adjust them at least once or twice during your match. So just to be clear, the Superlock element, the spikes across the face, are simply there to hold the shin guards in place. They have very little to do with protection. The protection part is going to come from the Flylite shin guards, which, by the way, you can actually get this Flylite shin guard with or without the Superlock technology, $70 with, $60 without. So for an extra 10 bucks, they cover the front with spikes. So this is basically the second generation Flylite shin guard from Nike. I reviewed the original on this channel a long time ago. Basically, it's the same design though, just with a different layout for the webbing and the shell itself. So the shell, like I mentioned, is kind of this rubbery plastic material. It's flexible, not necessarily for the sake of protection, but more so for the sake of having proper fit. They want the shin guard to adjust to the shape of any one shin, which I think that this does extremely well. The fit is definitely on point because of this little bit of flexibility. Now, when you get kicked, obviously having a softer shell can be a little bit concerning when it comes to overall protection, because typically we associate protection when it comes to shin guards with having basically a bulletproof shell, which this does not have. Instead, this shin guard is actually designed to absorb impact rather than deflect it, and it absorbs the impact by way of this basically floating liner. That's the best way to describe it. It kind of looks like a spider web, but at all the different connection points of the spider web, and I'm going to try and pull it up so you can actually see inside, there's these little kind of rubber stoppers or rubber extension pieces that basically float or allow this liner to float. And when any kind of pressure is applied to the face of the shin guard, say when you get kicked, the first contact point is going to be these little rubber stoppers that are kind of a softer silicone material that will essentially compress and absorb that impact along with the relatively hard shell. Because I don't want to say that it's rubbery or anything like that. What I'm getting at here is it's very difficult to measure the effectiveness of a shin guard when it comes to protection. It's kind of something that you just more so feel, I would say. And I would make the argument that I don't feel quite as safe wearing this shin guard in comparison to, say, the cheaper Nike Mercurial light shin guards that have a harder shell and a little bit more of a significant standard lining material. Those feel more solid, therefore more safe to me. Whether or not they are actually more safe or less safe, really difficult to say. For anyone that does care or does need this certification for the shin guards, these are NOC SAE approved, which you can see is here in the form of this little piece of paper that kind of extends off the edge. It's not printed anywhere on the shin guard itself, so you're gonna have to have this annoying little piece of paper sticking out the top of your shin guards if you want to maintain the approval. If you chop it off, there is no way to know this is actually an NOC SAE approved shin guard, which is basically just a money grab in the first place. It's kind of like the FIFA approved system. What's awesome about this shin guard design though is the fact that it essentially does not have a liner. There's no mesh, there's no materials here that are going to absorb any kind of water, which means that the second that you're done playing in them is basically the second that these are perfectly dry and ready to use again. So if you don't like playing with wet shin guards in a tournament type situation, you're never going to have that issue with this particular shin guard. Also, because the face of the shin guard is basically floating, you have this airflow running through where the shin guard is sitting against your leg and the physical shell itself. There's a little bit of an open gap, which is kind of unusual. And if it's a particularly cool day, you will feel that airflow. If it's really hot, it's something that you will notice as well. And it's kind of something that is unique to this specific design that I do really like. And then there's the weight of these shin guards. The box rates them a 5 out of 5. Are they actually that light? Well, in a size large, these shin guards weigh in. One individual shin guard, I should say, weighs about 2.4 ounces. And something I was a little bit concerned with when I saw these in person is that you seem to have more rubber spikes on the one with the Nike swoosh just because of the Nike swoosh branding. There's more physical rubber there for the logo itself. But to my surprise, both the left and right shin guard weigh the exact same 2.4 ounces, which is actually very light as far as shin guards go. Are they the lightest ones you can buy? No, but they're certainly not going to feel heavy while you're wearing them. Next, let's talk about the way these fit and the way they look when you're actually wearing them. Because it has this kind of weird design, they will actually compress a little bit when you have the pressure of your socks or something kind of holding them against your shins. Now, the Superlock system is made up of all these rubbery spikes, which are designed to grip the socks. So what you'll find is that it can actually make them a little bit difficult to put on if you're not wearing them with anything else aside from the socks to hold them up, which is what I'm going to do for you right now in this video. As far as sizing is concerned, as a reference, these are a size large. I'm about 5'11", and this is about the size shin guard that I would typically wear anyways. It is a smaller style of shin guard. So if you're looking for more coverage, probably not the best option. So I like to roll my sock down and then basically put the shin guard in the place where I want, hold it there, and then do my best to kind of stretch the sock over top without coming in contact with the rubber spikes. Because if it comes in contact, it'll kind of just snag and you won't be able to pull your socks up. So it's kind of hard to do, but once you get used to it, it's really not that tricky. And then once they're on, you can see the shin guards pretty much stay in place with just the tension of the socks, because it really is doing a good job of gripping the socks themselves. Like I mentioned though, the only issue here is that once your socks fall down, the shin guards just go with it. So your socks will move eventually, which means the shin guards will move if you're just using the socks to hold the shin guards in place. But I'll put the other one in really quickly just so you can see both of them on at the same time. And for the most part, you can kind of get away with just using your socks if you're not too picky about your shin guards moving around, which I know is not what the concept is about, but it technically does work just like this if you want to use them just like this. You can see they do have some bulk to them. It's not the thinnest shin guard that money can buy, but for the most part, they're out of the way. They're relatively small. They're very, very light. And again, because of that unique liner, you can actually feel the airflow between the shell of the shin guard and the basically face of your shin that would normally be covered up by a solid lining material. So they feel good, they're very comfortable, they adjust to the shape of your shin really nicely because they are slightly flexible. And again, if you just want to use your socks to hold them up, it works, it's just not super effective. So in conclusion, are the Nike Mercurial Flylite Superlock shin guards worth the $70 asking price, which admittedly is a lot of money for shin guards that 99% of people are not going to be willing to pay. Plenty of people buy $8 Nike J guards and they wear them for 15 years without any problems at all. This is not a product that's a necessity, even if you're playing at the highest level, but it is a very cool product. And I think that's what Nike was mainly going for here with this particular design. These look like the shin guards of the future. Whether or not that's worth $70 to you though, that's something you kind of have to determine for yourself. There are some major upsides in that the flexible shell does make for a really good fit. I love the idea of the floating liner, both in regards to how it looks, as well as how it feels. The fact that these don't absorb any water at all is a very cool feature, and the airflow thing is something that's very unique to these shin guards as well. I also really like the Superlock concept, although it's not quite as great as Nike is making it out to be, because if you just wear these inside of your socks are inevitably going to slide down almost immediately, and you're gonna have to adjust them. So without proper tape or sleeve or both, these aren't going to stay in place just on their own as Nike is claiming they will, which is unfortunate, but I still think that it's a very cool concept that's worth the extra $10 over the regular Flylite variation if you're wondering. Also, I'm not overly convinced by this soft shell concept. I think if you're spending a lot of money on shin guards, you want them to be as protective as possible. That's part of the reason why you're spending the extra money. And the soft shell thing to me just doesn't feel quite as safe. Whether or not it actually is, hard to say, but if I was spending the money on high-end shin guards, I would still stick with my personal favorite, the C6 Agility carbon fiber shin guards, which admittedly are a lot more money than these, but that's just it. It kind of just depends on what you want and what you like. If these are really cool and you can afford the $70 price tag, you're probably going to be very happy with them. Anyways, guys, that is it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. If you're interested in some of these shin guards for yourself, again, you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $70 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.